Hello, amazing people. How y'all doing today? And welcome to the I'm Shalakimia show. I'm so excited about this show tonight. We have two amazing special guests joining us, which I usually don't do that, but I wanted to do that tonight. I love their perspective on things. I always go live by myself. And have people call in, but I wanted to bring some other perspectives to this conversation. I think this conversation is very, very important to our community. I know there's a lot of people that have heard about this whole ordeal on social media with this Black woman therapist and everything that's been going on, and some people don't know what's going on. I put a few clips together. Before I bring my special guest in, I want to kind of bring some people up to speed. Now, I do want to say that these aren't full clips of everything. And you can go and view the full clips. It's kind of, the important pieces to bring people up to speed about what we're going to be talking about tonight, what this means in the Black community. And I also want to hear from the Black community, like how do you feel about, the situation that went on. Mental health is very, very important, but in our community, it's not really talked about like it should be talked about in our community. There's a lot of people suffering from different mental illnesses, not even just mental illnesses, just mental things going on, period. And when you're going through those type of mental things, you need safe spaces to be in. You need, people to be able to confide in. You need healing, and you need help. You need assistance on how to get through things. I will say that, in the Black community, yeah, we don't talk about it much, but in amongst our Black men, they really don't have an outlet at all to talk about, things like that. Um, it hurts my heart, that it's like that, because I have sons, and I don't ever want them to be, feeling some type of way or be depressed or anything and not have an outlet, not have anybody to talk to. It's already hard for our Black men, and us as well, but them more. And I'm going to keep stressing that it's harder for them because people hold men here, and they feel like, men aren't supposed to feel anything. You know what I mean? Men are supposed to be strong all the time, and that's not realistic. And I feel like we cannot sit up there and continue to handle our Black men like that, and we can't allow professionals to handle them like that either. I want to go ahead and I want to play this clip so some people can get updated on things that transpired with this whole ordeal with the Black therapist. So I'm going to go ahead and if my special guests can hang tight for me, I'm excited about them, y'all. If my special guests can hang tight a little bit while I um bring them up to speed on what's going on. I put a few clips together, that I think that are important. I'm gonna go ahead and play those clips.
Not in therapy, expanding your emotional vocabulary, your life just off top is going to be more difficult. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bitch. This fucking weird ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bruh. You're not. When bitches are telling y'all to go to therapy, it's not for us, it's for y'all sad motherfuckers. Go to therapy, talk about that shit that's on your chest. You don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all are doing a disservice to yourself. And so let me sum this shit up. Y'all told bitches to elevate our standards. And at the cost of us elevating y'all standards, y'all got axed because y'all didn't elevate either. Bitches are not tolerating emotional abuse, emotional neglect. Step it up. Go talk to somebody. Go expand your emotional vocabulary so your life can be better, bitch. All right. Go in peace.
Well, hello. It's your friendly neighborhood therapist who thought she could save these hoes, but got her job terminated as a result. Story time? I think yes. Shit you not, I posted a video on Monday telling men that their dusty behavior is only harming them and that they would benefit from emotional intelligence. And I shit you not, by Friday, didn't have employment. All of this started with a Psychology Today article stating that men are lonelier than ever because they have no fucking emotional skills. And I agreed and doubled down and told y'all that y'all lives would radically improve if you expanded the shit that came out your mouth. But instead of healing, y'all will do anything but that. Instead of being accountable, like, hey, this bitch see me, got stirred a little bit, y'all got so hurt that you contacted massa. That's exactly what happened. So first the post goes viral on Twitter because y'all need fucking help. And y'all wanted to argue with bitches blue till they fucking blue in the face. Some of you hoes is not going to be saved. And that's the conclusion that I've come to. So because this shit's gone viral, I'm thinking, okay, cool. We starting a discussion on mental health and people are, you might not like my fucking delivery, but motherfuckers is starting to talk, you know, shaking the tables. I don't give a fuck. But then it turns into this entire crusade of attacking a Black woman who serves the fucking Black community. There were comments like, I'm going to find her credentials and report her because I told y'all to be better. Yeah, y'all are fucking weird. Y'all scream that y'all want to protect women, protect Black women specifically, but have done nothing to protect this Black woman who has been serving the communities. I have been violated in several areas, and I'm going to outline each one. This article was written by a fucking Black woman, putting my full government and my place of employment. So being doxxed by a Black woman can't fake, kind of fucking hurts. And she never once reached out to me or contacted me so I could spend my side of the story. This is the article that spooked my fucking job and got me fired. Not only did she not have any regard for my safety, many other articles have been written as a result. Here are a few of them, just to name a few. Black Twitter has words for therapists scolding men to go to fucking therapy. Y'all attacked me and got mad at me because I wanted better for y'all. That's the most crab in the barrel bucket type bullshit I've ever heard in my fucking life. A plethora of Black men decided to take it upon themselves to call my employment to get me fired. You succeeded, but you succeeded in not the way that you think. If it's one thing about Black women is that we're incredibly resilient. This just cleared the table to give me space and opportunity to educate the masses while shaking our asses to healing because y'all got mad because I wanted you to do better.
She needs therapy herself.
I'm almost spit it off. I'm tired of dating, just off the simple fact that men deserve hell in jail. Not all y'all, but just like 99.9.999% of y'all. As someone who gives all in the relationships, I don't want to do that shit anymore. I would like to be taken care of, but you know, we'll see. You know, for one, I would like to be the one that's like nurtured, you know, but not sure when or if that's ever gonna happen.
A woman that's in high demand, her mindset is three main things. She's cooperative, she's smart, and she's agreeable. See, all three of those things must be there. She must be smart, but a woman that's smart and disagreeable is not a woman that's in high demand. She's not a woman that's really wanted. A woman who's smart and cooperative, but not agreeable is kind of useless because she'll only cooperate when she agrees. A woman who's cooperative and agreeable but not smart is also kind of just blind leading the blind. She must be smart, cooperative, and agreeable.
Well, I hope that brought you up to speed on, you know, everything that happened. That's not even a half. Like I was like really in the middle of it because and I didn't mind because she was wrong. And I feel like one thing about it, you know, I'm going to speak up when things are wrong. Number one, the Black woman that wrote the article, I felt she didn't do anything wrong but bring awareness to, you know, this is what Black men in the mental health field have to deal with. A woman that is clearly damaged herself, you know, and trying to help what? You can't even help yourself. You can't even be professional. And it's like we have to open up our eyes. Is this what Black men have to deal with? This is who they gonna vent to? Somebody that's calling them out their name. The fact that And I'm gonna bring my special guest in a minute. The fact how Kevin Samuels came in the mix is because, you know, there were black women on social media saying, well, black men act like they're happy she got fired. And then they said to me, well, Charlotte, can you act like you're happy, you know, she got fired? But I'm just like, well, y'all were happy. What happened to the energy when y'all were happy when Kevin Samuels died? Y'all were raving on social media, celebrating everything. Y'all didn't hide that. Y'all didn't hide that. Now the tables have turned. The tables have turned. And that's what happened. I'm gonna bring in my first guest right now, which is C Rose. Let me see. Rose, can you hear me? You're did I mute you? Okay, hold on.
Sorry, that was my bad. I can hear you fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you great. Can you just tell our viewers you know about your platform and what you do and who you are?
Absolutely. First off, thank you for having me, sis. I truly, truly appreciate it. My name is C. Rose of the Breakdown A Woman's Perspective. I am one half of a team. Myself and my co-host Danny, we have a woman's channel and an all-male space in the manosphere where we discuss relationship topics primarily, and we break it down and have give our woman's perspective on primarily relationship topics where there's a lot of these divisive topics that are going around, and try to kind of add some balance to conversations that are making their way throughout social media.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm going to share her channel in my community for everybody that wants to connect with her and her platform. And
Okay.
welcome and thank you. I'm gonna bring in our next guest. He's no stranger. Uncle Stu.
Being that I've had you on my platform, about to have her on my platform. So yeah, we make some round robin here.
Yeah, we connected, connecting the dots. But Uncle Stu, introduce, people to you and what you got going on.
All right. This is Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. My platform is to empower men and teach women how to love the men that they are with. Similar to what C. Rose just talked about, I look at exactly what's going on within the community, and then I try to find those solutions. So I try to bring solutions to today's problems and today's complications. Later, we're going to also be doing a deep dive on my panel where y'all going to start getting book knowledge. So I'll be bringing a lot of book information, in order to solve some of the problems from economic, social, and relationships.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for
You're
being
welcome.
here. And then I'm going to add my third guest, my sister C. C, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, Shalakemia and everyone else on the panel. Thank you so much, Shalakemia, for allowing me to be here today. This is quite a surprise. I am Kana Speaks the Real. I do have a YouTube channel on here, YouTube, and also I'm mainly on TikTok. Kana Speaks the Real. What my purpose is to get Black women, or women, period, but mainly Black women, to understand of us taking accountability, because without accountability and without taking for our own action, our behavior, we can't move, we can't go anywhere. I can recall the Minister Louis Farrakhan saying that no nation can rise higher than its woman. Okay. And the reason why he said that is because the women that are affected, the women are that can hold us back if we're not or being cooperative with our men. And there's a reason for that. So that's mainly what I try to encourage, is just accountability. That way we can get on the road and the journey to heal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that everybody was able to join me so we can have this very important conversation. I know that everybody's aware of what happened with the woman Black therapist. You know that called herself scolding black men on social media, which was like so out of order. It was so out of order. I feel like behavior like that puts us back. But Uncle Stu, just watching the clips, I know you have been following this. Like, what's your take on this?
Well, my take is real simple. She is really definitely exhibiting exactly what has been going on in the latter half of social service, meaning that you have a lot of these women who has taken on, feminist ideology and tried to place it within the social service sector. Um, right now you have a battle going on and where they're trying to use feminist psychology on masculine mentality. And the fact of the matter is there's other studies that says men and women think different. And because men and women think different, they don't want to accept that. So we have to understand the late Bell Hooks, who is a prominent feminist, has always argued that patriarchy is what they like to use in academia is dangerous. So everything that represents a man, that represents anything of a man, is considered dangerous. So what she had studied and mingled together, when you hear some of the terminologies, words like oppression, words like massa, these are supposedly supposed to be buzzwords. They're supposed to be socialistical terminologies, but the reality is that the more you understand what these terms mean, the more you realize they really don't have a meaning.
Mm-hmm.
We are not socialistic, we are not Marxists, but they will use these social Marxist terms in order to galvanize. But the question is, what are we galvanizing to? You see what I'm saying? Are we being socialized to be what? And so what she just exhibit, outright, is the ability to, one, not really hold herself accountable. Those professions is supposed to be held in high regards. And a lot of those that backed her did was also part of that feminist movement. And
Yeah.
instead of holding her accountable just from the standpoint of being a social worker, they went and tried to double down. So it's just the feminist ideology that is rising up. And it's ironic. It is a woman that went after her position. And I'm quite sure that now this is definitely going to be rocking not only the social service market, but it's going to be rocking the academia market as well. So there's a lot of intellectual challenges to this situation.
Right. I don't I don't really feel like Ashika Harrison, because that's the woman's name that wrote the article.
Mhm.
I don't really think it was a situation where like Ashika was coming for this therapist. I think she was bringing to the table. I think it was more of a thing like, how could you?
Are
You
you
know.
asking about the one who wrote the article, or are you asking
Oh, I'm
about?
sorry. No, I was asking you, what did you think about the therapist and her behavior? I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
because
sorry.
the one I read the article that she was referring to.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why I was like, wait a minute, did I answer for the right
Okay.
therapist?
I'm sorry.
The one that wrote the article really wrote it exactly the way it needs to be written.
Right.
Is there a situation in where the African American male needs therapy? Absolutely. Is there enough African American black male therapists out here that can really speak to the social pathology of African American men? No. So she was basically opening that up and saying that for African American men, yes, they do need, there is a number in which they do need that therapy. I would say that the reason most of us do not get therapy is not really because of not having the resources. It's
Right.
who is given the administrative side of it. If
Right.
I already have an issue with, say, my mother, or I have an issue with my sister, or I have an
Right.
issue with an ex, why am I going to sit in front of a female that I'm
Right.
already having issues with. We also have to recognize that on this platform in YouTube, now on TikTok, it is the first time that African American men has ever been able to, as they say, emote, be able to express themselves and be able to speak and learn that some of the things they grew up believing, or some of the things they grew up socialized to believe. Especially my generation, I'm Generation X. There were certain things that we was taught and learned and etc. But by the time they got down to, let's say, the millennial and now the Gen Zs, it became a lie. So that's where you get the whole concept of this red pill. And so now that you're hearing African American men being able to speak and communicate and connect, especially online, because if I'm in one state, I can't necessarily talk to somebody in California, and get their story, or someone in Texas get their story. But now that you got this universal story going on, men is able to learn exactly what to do, how to do it, and how to handle it. Even on this YouTube space, we have 2 therapists. 2. So it's like we still outnumbered numerically, even in the States.
Right. My thing, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I seen the video, I thought it was very disgusting. I did not believe that she was a therapist. I don't care if that's what you went to school for. I don't believe that, just because somebody go to school for something, it don't mean that that's what they're supposed to be. And I'm just being real in this world right now. Because as a therapist, you don't conduct yourself in that kind of way. I coach a lot of Black men. I never share anything they share with me unless they give me permission. You know why? Because when they come to me, it needs to be a safe environment. It needs to be a safe space. It's already hard for y'all to find people to be able to vent to. That's not going to be like, oh, you weak, or, man up, or no, that's not the type of space that, we're going to create. That right there was just mind blowing to me. Like, why did you feel like that was okay? Why did you feel like, you should keep your job? You see what I'm saying? Like, no. And then you say 90%, I think she said between 90 and
99%.
95% of her clientele are Black men. The thing I couldn't respect is, why did you come to social media once you were fired and you blamed Black men? You don't know who called your job. You don't even know if anybody called. It was viral. How do you know that the people that work at your place of employment did not just see it? Because, see, you came on here and she thought she ate by trying to come for Black men, trying to jump on the bandwagon of everybody else that hates Black men, but you did not. You didn't do that. You got yourself fired because you were wrong.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, the reason she felt that recourse would not happen is for the same reason that's been going on for over 20 years.
Right.
Why should she be fired when there's no accountability? So when you don't have any accountability, it's like I explained to certain people. The law is good. Having laws is good. What does laws do? It protects you. It protects you from the lawless. Now, if once you break a law, you have to face a consequence. Now, if I rob you and there's no consequence behind me robbing you,
you're gonna keep robbing me.
Right, to keep robbing you.
Right.
So now, if there's no consequence for me to cut you out, and there's no consequence for me to say what I want to say, there's no consequence behind me writing, your pathology without ever hearing you. If there's no consequence, then I'm going to keep doing it. And then when I go to school and I can get all these books and all these doctorates to say, no, only Black men has the problem. Only Black men has the sickness. Only Black men has these issues. Then I am justified. There's no justification. So now what you're seeing now is that pathology that's coming from one side is no longer going to be tolerated.
Right.
Because I tell Black women, the very men you're complaining about, 80% of y'all raised.
That's what I say all the time.
So whose fault really is it? That dude that you say is a simp, you raised him.
You raised him. That's right.
You did that. That dude that's running around having sex with 4, 5, 6 different women, you raised him.
Raised him.
Now, when you sit there and you tell me, and I quote, well, we're the educated black race, well, fine. Let's look at the evidence. Most of you might have a bachelor's degree. Most of you might have a master's degree. So can you explain to me why the average African-American male, only 12% can read above the 4th grade reading level? Can you explain to me why all these educated black women who teaches in these school systems, you have one of the most failing school systems? Can you explain to me why even in the so-called economic middle class, black men are still failing? Can you explain to me why, if we're so bad, why is it that the 5 largest billionaires are African-American males?
Right.
Why is there more African-American men who are millionaires? There are more African-American men who have risen up in the middle class without a black woman. When you look at the actual number data statistics, African-American women are carrying more debt than the average African-American man.
Yep.
Then they argue, well, we have power, but white men got power. No, black women got power because you continue to go to the one network, you've joined with the one community, you've joined with the one party that gave you pseudo power. It didn't give you real power. You got pseudo power. So the question is, what have you done with your pseudo power? We still statistically got more African-American men going to prison. The same in this era was the same 30 years ago. You still have more African-American men who cannot read. So what has your power, academic, and education done when you still have the highest divorce rate just within your race?
Right. I wanna
to take over.
No, it's okay. I wanna bring
Big facts.
C Rose, I wanna get your take on this whole thing. I actually reached out to C Rose. I put out a video and I seen her in my comments and I started watching her content on TikTok. So that's kind of how I connected with her. I really enjoyed her page. But C Rose, go ahead and chime in and tell us what you think about this whole thing.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you reached out to me. I became familiar with your content through my co-host. She is an avid watcher of your content, and she was the one who originally turned me on to your content. And yeah, we know Uncle Stu. We actually have an upcoming interview with Uncle Stu. So yeah. But I actually shared some of the same sentiments that Uncle Stu and some of the same sentiments that you share with in regards to the therapist. When I actually saw her video about being doxxed before I actually knew about her original video, the original ploy that she made saying that black men need therapy. So I was like, oh wow, so she was just doxxed for nothing. And I was like, oh, that's awful. And then I dug a little bit because someone was like, no, she's being misleading. And I dug a little bit and
man, she's having issues.
She'll come back in. Sister C, tell us what you think. Why C Rose when she comes back, we'll chime her back in.
Oh, okay. So I've been watching Child Leukemia in the background for a minute since last year, 21. Like I was listening to a lot of Samuels, and she was always right behind Kevin. So I'm like, yeah, that's right. Why Kevin? I miss him so much. But my whole take, and I just found out about all this the other day. This all came out, so I've been looking at it a little bit, and I've been also looking at the replies from the women who are helping her in her fight to get back where she was, or help her after she got fired, which I find so amazing. And this is why I often deal with accountability, because here it is again. This woman, like Shalakimi is saying, and like Brother Stu is saying, she is out of line. She is wrong. Her bad behavior and her bad choice to open up her mouth and to say something about people that she counsels, men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her clients and things like that. That was wrong. When do we realize that that was wrong? Like, who raised you? Are you
Yeah.
any kind of accountability? Are you able to see any kind of bad behavior and your bad choice for what you did? I know one thing my Bible tell me is, let me see what it say. It say, for your words thou shalt be justified, and by your words thou shalt be condemned. So you got to understand that your words will either justify you or they're going to condemn you. And in this case, she was condemned. So for her
I
to come,
believe that.
yeah, absolutely. And for her to come out with this whole rant about what black men need, I'm just trying to figure this out, y'all, because I think that black men are very intelligent. I think that
Mm-hmm.
black men know how to express themselves. I believe that black men are very good communicators, sharp.
Right.
Some of the sharpest communicators you're gonna ever see. Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, heck, Kevin Samuel himself. And this man right here sitting on this platform. So you cannot tell me that these men are lacking emotional intelligence and how to keep a family together or how to have relationships with people, because 80% of women leave marriages. So you tell me who's lacking emotional intelligence. You
Right.
tell what the problem is, because I think that our men are magnificent in their delivery towards us. I think the problem is the kind of things that us as black women want to talk about. When we come to our men, we expect them to respond like our girlfriends. They're not our girlfriends.
Right.
Chattering things that we do, it's different for them, right? So I think what this woman's goal was to get out here and further bash black men who already are having an issue with just opening up to a black woman in the first place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Already, these men are shutting down. You just had TD Jakes talk about that weeks ago, some time ago, months ago, I think, where he was talking about how I try to come to you and you shut me down. I can't even speak. Our men need a safe space to speak to us. And then here it is, a black therapist, somebody who they thought they can trust, goes to her to seek refuge, and now they ain't got that either. They might stop going to counseling altogether just when they was about to start going, because I'm hearing more and more about black men getting therapy. I just had a black men's mental health episode segment on TikTok last month, and I
Okay.
had a plethora of black men on the panel talking about the things that they had been through. But guess what? They also had therapy as well. And some of them are even in therapy continuing. But you hear that less women. They have not had therapy. The ones that got, when I had the Black Women's Health, I have also had a segment for Black women's mental health. Well, they didn't have as much therapy as I was hearing come from the men. And the men, they're just so ready to talk, Kimia, Brother Stu. They just ready to talk, Sister C. They just ready to talk and get it out here. And I believe, and I'm gonna shut it down. I believe that what's going on right now in terms of us seeing our men starting to talk after 50 to 60 years of saying nothing. All right. When Big Mama had the mic and Big Daddy was just sitting over there like this, don't bother me. Okay, now the men are saying something. And so I think what's happening is the women are scared. They're afraid because they don't want us to know, or the world to know, the bad behavior that these women have in these relationships with these men. And these men are talking. And they're
Yeah.
Let me let me let me add a little bit of historical context.
Mhm.
First of all, the shutdown has never been shut down. I'm the
Mhm.
product of the Million Man March.
Mhm.
Okay. And you have to understand that during the Million Man March, we were saying the same thing that's being spoken now. So we're not unique in the language in and of itself. Second, that I'm going to say is that I don't believe that the numbers is as high as everyone wants to claim it to be. That African American men have a pathology. What you're
Right.
really listening to is non-pathological. And what is it non-pathological? See, they have choices today. They have options today. They can either talk to you or leave you alone. So
Yeah.
when you're hearing African American men saying, listen, I want to love you, because African American men are more loyal to their woman. So now when they say, I want to love you, I want to be with you, but you acting crazy, you acting foolish. There are some that just says, if I don't love you, I don't even want to talk to you. So what we're really hearing is black men saying, we got options. In the 90s, black women was the one that was going on these cruises and going overseas.
Going
It
overseas.
was black women that was going and having fun with the berries of the world. So now that black men is saying, well, you know what? We are now the ones that are the top of the pick. We're not only top of the pick here in America, we're also the top of pick internationally.
Yeah.
And so because we're the top of the pick internationally, you are not going to come in here with this Marxist mentality and try to fear us, black us, socialize us into a so-called black love that's never existed.
Right.
You understand? So what's happening is that a lot of these African American men, especially those that has the economic means, they also have choices, or what they now call options. Yep. And black women has never recognized that these men are free. They're free to talk to you and not talk to you.
Right.
They're free to be with you and not be with you. In my generation, what mama said, don't bring her home unless you can get a hot comb through her hair. Today, that's not happening. You see what I'm saying? Back in my day, yeah, the white women was the straight blonde hair, blue-eyed woman. Today, these freaking white women is trying to look black. They trying to have the black body, the black lip, black hair, black style, and they got the black vocabulary. And when I say black vocabulary, I'm not talking hip hop urban. I'm talking when you look at the linguistics. Sometimes you got to look and really look. Wait a minute, she white or she light skinned? What?
That's true.
Because they speak exactly like us. So you know when you got African American men who now has the ability to speak, they have the ability to communicate, and what you're seeing is a plethora of these men in various sectors and various places that's saying, hey, I have a choice. So what you got? You got some men that say I'm red pill. You got some men that say save yourself, black man. You got some that's saying I'm an incel. You got some that say I'm a passport. I'm going overseas. You got other brothers that say I want to be B1, but you got to get yourself right for me to be B1. So they recognizing that they have a plethora of options out here. And you know, so with that, I think a lot of women don't know how to handle that because they've never seen that before.
Right. Let's bring C Rose. We welcome back. Can you hear us?
I'm sorry. Yes, I apologize. I was trying to do everything from my iPad, so I have switched over to my laptop. So my apologies.
No, it's okay. Go
trying
ahead.
to communicate is that I do believe that, you know, to the point that she should have been articulating is that, you know, Black people as a whole, as a result of our traumatic experience in this country, we need therapy as a whole. It's not a Black men thing. It's a Black people thing because of the continued trauma that, you know, we see unfolding on media, you know, Black bodies being slaughtered, and, you know, in addition to the systemic racism and the white supremacist, you know, conditioning that we've endured for hundreds of years. Yes, Black people need therapy. It's not a Black man thing. Black women suffer from low emotional intelligence too. Black women endure the same exact trauma that Black men are raised enduring. So it's not a Black man thing. And I thought that her delivery was absolute trash to single out Black men to use, and then to try to indicate that, you know, Black men needed to expand their vocabulary, but she used nothing but 4-letter words and use, you know, vile, despicable, disgusting language and trying to challenge Black men to expand their emotional vocabulary when she's using vocabulary that is not of, you know, that is of a low level person. I just thought that it was absolutely laughable. I was kind of disgusted. I thought that it was, really disgusting antics, if you will, and it was what I would equate to clownery and coonery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I agree with that. I
took
definitely agree.
she made it like a reality show. It's like these reality shows show professional black, some of them, right, in a very bad way. That's what I feel like she did with the profession that she's in right now. She's a psychologist. Yet she gets on to a platform and start to, I mean, look at her dress. Look at the way she dress. All her stuff on, slapping her behind, doing all these innuendos to me, and it was terrible. Then you sit here and you get mad for losing your job. I think you knew that you were gonna lose your job once the words came up out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Because what it's gonna do, what I believe it's gonna do, Shalakimi and the panel, I believe what it's gonna do is have the white folk look at us being in that profession like they do. Okay, we can't even hire now. Y'all can't, just like they say y'all can't come to we say they can't come to the cookout. They say, oh no, you can't come in this profession.
I'm going to tell you something that I agree partly.
I'm just saying.
No. This ain't a black thing, and I'm going to tell you why. The manosphere, as it's termed, the manosphere started off as a white. This was in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Black manosphere is fairly new historically. Okay.
Right.
So we got to remember there was another version of Kevin Samuels that just got shut down on TikTok and all these other places. So understand that this threat is just not a black threat. It's a white feminist threat. You understand? So it's on both sides. But what I will say is this: when we start dealing with, if you want to define trauma, you got to. I'm trying to say this with in niceties. When white feminism needed more numbers in their logistics from a political standpoint, they brought on the black woman. So once they brought the black woman, then they was able to bring the alphabet community. So what happened is the so-called power structure is white male, white female, alphabet community, black woman, black man found himself at the bottom. You understand? Because if you control the black man, you control the black community.
Right.
So once you no longer can control the black man, as Malcolm X said, when we finally had the independence of our mind, we will finally see the word freedom.
Right.
So free of the dome. And what's happening is you have African American men who are now expressing and being able to free their mind. So now that you have the freedom of the mind, when your mind is free, no one can control you.
Right.
This Namek that went around, this 19 that went around should have opened the eyes to many. But when you got the blind leading the blind, you still blind. So you have to understand even when you look at places like Georgia, what is she begging for? Black men to vote for her. Why? Because black men is slowly and quietly going to the other party. Because if one party can't satisfy my needs, I'll go to the other party.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely, that power structure is being lost.
I wanna address the comment on the screen from LaKendra Eubanks. She said a black man should never get a black woman fired who raised y'all. And that's a part of the problem. First of all, LaKendra, you don't know if black men got her fired. This is the problem. People go off of what's being said on social media, and it's like at the end of the day, you don't even know it to be true. You're going off what this girl came on here and said. She probably don't even know who got her fired. Her bosses just pulled her in there, probably talked about the TikTok video, and she just felt like, oh, it had to be black men because I was talking about them. But then, oh, I'm gonna go and blame this journalist, this lady that wrote the article. You blaming black men and you blaming this black woman. And then you have people like LaKendra coming in here saying a black man shouldn't get a black woman fired. What's wrong with your mindset, LaKendra, that you can't comprehend she got herself fired?
But
And
you
I'm
know
like,
what?
what's
But
wrong
let
with
me
your
say
mindset?
this.
If that
And
had
no one's advocating for her
No.
being fired, number one. And
Okay.
like, who's to say that her boss's attention just wasn't called to the video? We all, anybody who works in a professional arena, if we're doing something on social media and it violates our company code of ethics, we're at risk of being fired. If our boss's attention is being called to something we do on social media and it violates that code of ethics and a board member sees it, we could be fired for it. So that's likely what happened. It's not that someone said fire her because she did such and such. And no one up here said, oh, she should have been fired. I haven't heard that.
And you know
Well,
what?
I'm gonna say this. I'll be the only person up here to say that. Go ahead, and I'm gonna show it. Go ahead, young lady.
No, I just wanted to point out that I'm a psych major, and they take it very serious because their information is already out there anyway. But when you release any kind of medical information, any kind of mental health or information, we have what you call HIPAA law, and that is what got you fired because they looked at that video. Somebody had to say something and say, you know what? This sounds like what's in her reports. They have to write reports. These psychologists, they have patients and stuff. They have to write everything down. So if somebody is reading that caseload, her supervisor or her manager or however that works, then they're saying that sounds like, you know, somebody she's counseled before. That sounds like one of the reports. That's releasing information that should never be released. So people need to stop being so emotional and become logical and think, hey, there's a law. There's a law set in place for someone that's releasing information about somebody's mental or health record. That's HIPAA law. You cannot, they cannot. That is an absolute no-no in that field.
Okay, I wanna that was the main thing with my video on TikTok. A woman was like she violated HIPAA. Then all these black women come and say, "How I'm a nurse, how I'm a nurse practitioner, I'm in the mental, I'm this." Listen, I ain't trying to hear none of that. At the end of the day, HIPAA states that a person is not just in violation of HIPAA because they share the personal name and the personal information. No, 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 no. There's something in there that says a violation is if you come and talk about a situation that you've discussed with a client and that client identifies themselves in that situation, that is a violation. There's another clause in HIPAA that says that you have to abide by the ethics and the codes of your employer. So a lot of they don't understand how that works. So a lot of black women were ignorant to the fact when the girl was like, "Oh, she violated HIPAA." Everybody was so like focused on, well, how did she violate it? First of all, all these people that are sitting up here and taking up for her, they would not have appreciated if she would have got on there and did that to their son, their brother, or even them. Even them, if she got on there and told their situation that they just vented to her about in a session, they wouldn't appreciate that. But I'm gonna tell you why these black women are sitting up her taking up for her. They are toxic. They are hurt. The common denominator is they all hate black men. So that's all they heard was black men. And they were all they feel in their mind, their heart, they was hurt by a black man. So they gonna jump on the bandwagon with this woman. They don't care if she's wrong. They hate black men.
Well,
and you know what?
let me say this because she said, why did black men do this? And then there was another comment that said this has never happened. So let me break down the history. First of all, if you rob me, I'm snitching. If you rob my neighbor, I'm telling. So that's the background I come from. Now, as far as black men being fired, I think we need to go back to Clarence Thomas. Then you got to go to Bill Cosby. Then you got to go down the whole line of many black men that has been fired, that has went to prison, that has lost their family from a whole lot of this foolishness. So when we begin to even say that, trust me, is happening, and it continues to happen. We even had a man who passed away with his daughter. And what do? Give his best friend an interview, and the first thing they're going to talk about what he did almost 10, 15, 20 years ago. So when we begin to even speak these situations, I would tell you, Charlotte Kimmy, a person that came up and didn't even show a meme. So you got to let the troll be the troll. But the reality is that we all have what is known as equality. You wanted equality, you got it. Right. So that means the same problems that a black man can face at his job for speaking foolishness is the same thing a black woman can face speaking foolishness.
Absolutely.
The same way that you want to silence people and their First Amendment rights, it can be done on to you.
Right. Uncle Stu, she's not a troll. What people don't realize is when we're on StreamYard, they don't give StreamYard permission for their name to show up.
Oh, my bad. Well, I apologize. I apologize. I don't want to get mad. Then I apologize.
The only reason I know is because I'm looking at the feed on Facebook, so that's why I know. So I've learned that because my mother-in-law, she told me one day, she's like, I'm always on your content now. You don't say my name. I'm like, I didn't see you, because people aren't giving StreamYard permission to put their name on here, so we don't see it.
Got you.
But I wanted to Mayor said she didn't violate HIPAA respectfully where we're reaching. And like I said before, I don't think people know the outlines of the violation. She did violate the company that she works for. She has to, HIPAA says she has to be she has to what's the word I'm looking for? She has to
compliance.
Yeah, she has to be in compliance with their code of ethics too. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I read it. That's what it said. It says she has to abide by their code of ethics as well. She talked about a situation. You can't do that with HIPAA. They say that you don't have to use the person's name to be in violation. I don't think many people know that. So that's why they're challenging it the way they did. I read it. And it outlined, and that's what it told me. You don't have to use a person's name. You could use a situation, and people identify themselves. Somebody came out and said a client of hers called. You see what I'm saying? And reported her. Nobody knows, and that's all I'm trying to say. They're just putting the blame on black men, putting the blame on Miss Ashika Harris, dragging her all over Twitter. You see what I'm saying? And it's not right because she's assuming. You don't know how they found that information. And the fact that you're a therapist and where you work is public record.
Yep.
I did want to also add really quickly that, personally, I'm not a proponent for people being doxxed just because, I work in a professional arena and I have unpopular opinions all the time. In addition to that, I don't believe in silencing people. I think that people have the right to have unpopular opinions, but I think that goes for black men as well as black women. And as to Uncle Stu's point, this does happen to black men. And we talked about Kevin Samuels. And I think even like making the comparison of this therapist to Kevin Samuels is comparing apples to oranges. Kevin Samuels actually passed away and people literally were, desecrating this man's, spirit by, wishing harm on his soul in the afterlife. He lost his life and people weren't thinking about not lost his life, but there was a loss of life and people weren't thinking about the fact that he had a child that was left behind, his mother, his family, his loved ones, and she lost her job. So I don't even think that there is a comparison. Not only that, he wasn't beholden to anyone. He was a content creator. She is beholden to a professional licensing organization. In addition to, she was beholden to an employer that had a code of ethics that she wasn't in compliance with. So
absolutely,
you can't compare the two.
You got to remember,
you have to take examination to even be a licensed therapist. You have to go through tests. Okay, these are tests provided by the state that you live in for you to pass to be a licensed therapist. Okay, so this is not a light situation here. This is a situation where, like Shalakimia said, we're talking about a condition of something. That's why when doctors tell your family or whatever, they say, we can't tell you what it is going on with them unless you sign something or unless you tell us on a piece of paper signed by that person to release this information. If that don't happen, you will not know that that person has HIV. You will not know that that person has cancer. You will not know that. So it's the condition. And although it's not a health condition, whereas, like a cancer or something like that, but it is a condition based on what the condition of the person, seeing them going to them for counseling or whatnot. That's their condition, whatever they're going through, whatever they're telling her about.
Right. Uncle Story wants that?
They don't play that.
If you go into YouTube, the name that I was looking for was Andrew Tate. The Intentional Millionaire put it in the chat.
Okay.
So that's another person that got shut down. So that's that. You got a lot of the stuff that's going on. So what we got to be able to do is speak to that.
Hello, Mr. Kosher.
What's up, sis? What's going on? Shout out to Uncle Stu. How you guys doing tonight?
All right. How you doing, Kosher?
Introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, I do go by the Kosher Clinician on YouTube. I am a licensed clinical therapist. I have my LCSW. I hail from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. And this topic has been very, very troubling to say the least. So I'll share some light. I got to be on live with another content creator in a few minutes. But whatever questions you want to ask, I'm more than willing to address it.
I mean, I really like want to know, as a professional,
right?
Your take on this, and also as a Black man, like how did this make you feel in the position that you hold?
Well, it's clearly the minimization of the masculine Shalakimia and the aggrandizement of the feminine. Some will argue that we live in a patriarchy, but we don't. We live in a quasi-patriarchy, but it's not a true bona fide patriarchy. When it comes down to the struggles of Black men, it never was a patriarchy. And so it's just a constant ongoing denigration of Black men, where some of these women have a condition, what I call trauma by proxy. They tend to more or less project their trauma and overgeneralize their trauma with all Black men. They probably identify with the guy that hurt them in college, or the father that abandoned them, or the man that touched them. And so anything associated with the Black man is always through the lens of the pejorative. So it was very troubling because, can you imagine if a man said to a woman, you need to be more D-logical and stop being a B-I-T-C-H and shut the H up and just be more logical, and you'll see what I'm talking about. In clinical therapy, there's a such thing called empathy, and we are beholden by the code of ethics as well. Now, the way she conducted herself was not becoming of a professional. And I think what she did, she being a licensed therapist is not aware, because what she projected in herself is a thinking error called overgeneralization. She tended to more or less see all Black men in a negative cast type, which in essence is something that's been going on for years, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's so true.
Kosher, there's another issue. Kosher, speak to the real meaning.
That's an echo in the back, guys. I don't know who it is.
It is. I don't hear an echo.
Oh,
It's an echo from Stewie. I think every time he talks, his microphone, it's.
I'm sorry. Can you? Okay. I don't know who it is. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Speak to the HEPA law. So
HEPA law, right?
Be clear on what HEPA really is.
Right. So HIPAA, the acronym for HIPAA is Health Information Portability Protection Act. All clients have what's called a personal identification code. She didn't necessarily, in my opinion, violate any HIPAA per se directly, but she did not more or less respect the profession as a licensed therapist. When you violate HIPAA, you take personal identifiable information from a client and you share it, and so we call it PHI, public health information. And so I don't think she per se did that per se, but she is beholden by the ethical board that she's under, whether she's a LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor, or LCSW as myself, licensed clinical social work. LCSWs are very broad. We have a lot of power as LCSW. So, but I don't think she per se violated any law. But the way she represented the profession was definitely something to be not desired, to say the least.
So, Kosher, let me ask you this, because I read, I'm familiar with some parts of HIPAA, not every part, So I read a part where it stated that she has to be in compliance with her code of ethics with her employer.
Yes, ma'am, that is true. Right. So it's layers to this, right?
Okay.
Every company have a company policy and a protocol that you got to adhere to if you sign up with that company. Now, if you're a 1099 employee, you have a little bit more leeway because you're just a contractor. But if you're a private therapist, then the only person you got to answer to when it comes down to the mission statement of that particular organization is yourself. Like when I start my own practice, I don't have to answer to anybody but the licensing board and the laws and the federal and state laws that I'm beholden to in the state of North Carolina. But if there are clauses in her with her employees to say you can't say XYZ, you can't do XYZ, then she could be in trouble.
Yes. So another part I want to point out is what kind of stuck out to me is in HIPAA when it says that to be in violation, you don't always have to say somebody's name and their personal information. If a person identifies themselves in the information that you're giving out, that's the violation. That's what I read.
Say it one more time, sweetie. I'm sorry.
It said in HIPAA that a violation, like you don't have to give someone's personal information for you to violate, you know what I mean, HIPAA.
I see your point.
If the person identifies themselves in the information that person is giving out, that's a violation.
Right. I see your point. I see your point. It's almost like, say if I was working with you and I say, and I had 3 women that were depressed, and I said these, but see, it's really gray because it could be open for interpretation. Because she didn't say any person's name specifically. I see where you're coming from. Your logic is she didn't say it specifically, but there could be people that she treated that know what she's talking about, and therefore they feel they could be traumatized by that.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because she said between 90 and 95% of her clientele are Black men.
Right. Yeah, it's open for interpretation. It's really a gray area. It's very nuanced to say the least. But it is open for interpretation, based on that. But anyway, so I gotta go. I got a show at 8:05. I love you, dear. Shout out to Uncle Stu once again, and you guys, y'all be well. All right.
Thank you so much, Kosher.
All right. Bye, sweetie.
But then, my question would be then if he says it that way, right? Okay, I work in a different type of field. I do work in the health field. However, my question would be, why would a company, you have so many times to do something. Although she did do that on social media, still, there are a couple of times you have the first write-up or verbal warning or, second warning or whatnot. My thing is, why would they just up and just fire this girl outright? There has to be something else involved to the reason why they fired this girl the way they did, instead of just saying, okay, you did that, but don't do that. Don't do that anymore. Okay, we're gonna write you up. If you do it again, then the final term, then you get fired. There's steps to this. People just don't get fired like that unless she was already warned about something that she was doing on social media or something. Because some jobs do tie in your behavior on social media.
There's a media clause sometimes in contract.
I think the answer to that.
But it was a lot of videos. It wasn't just one video. If you look at her social media, there were a ton of videos. Like it wasn't. The one video is what got her the attention or the recognition, but she had a ton of videos where she was kind of being descriptive, like she was talking about patients and kind of describing different things. And, she wasn't really saying who it was, but she was being very descriptive in what she was talking about.
That's
and she was probably.
And then you also have to remember
Gotta make that make sense.
If she worked for a private employer, you're talking about lawsuits. You think
Yeah.
keep her on there and
He didn't have
for somebody to get a lawsuit, forget if they can win the case. That means they gotta hire a lawyer just to defend that. What they probably was paying her and what they would have to pay a lawyer, it wasn't worth it.
Yep.
That's what I was commenting when we started discussing one of the things that she likely did violate or was possibly in breach of their code of ethics. The APA or LPC, depending upon, I'm not sure if she was a therapist or a psychologist. I think she was a therapist. There is a code of ethics that she likely breached that speaks against generalizing and discrimination that she absolutely was doing in a ton of her videos where she was generalizing against Black men. There was a lot of discriminatory, stereotyping and prejudice language in her TikToks, and it did open up the employer to potential lawsuits. So that was something that they would have likely had to combat if they would have kept her on and kept her employed. And there was a potential for maybe malpractice lawsuits, especially if her clients would have said they felt as though they were being discriminated against, or that there had been any instances where they felt that they were being, stereotyped, or they were being, they felt as though there was some sort of instances where she was exhibiting some sort of prejudice against them or anything like that.
That's the part
they
of
would
it.
have been able to use her TikToks in a lawsuit. So yeah.
See, Rose, you hit it. That is a part of it. You as a professional, you can't show a prejudice towards a certain group of people. She did that on her social media. And like you said, there was many videos.
Yep.
It was many videos.
Like
welcome the international millionaire. Welcome.
Intentional.
I'm sorry.
How y'all doing today?
Listen, the intentional millionaire. I've been up all night working. I think I'm on maybe 3 hours of sleep. I can't read right now. I'm sorry.
Well, I couldn't tell because you over here, you churning and burning over here.
Yeah, but I'm here, but I'm on a little bit of sleep today. But you wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in, but my perspective is just a little bit more general.
Okay.
Because I think she just she was just an example of some things that I think fundamentally we get away from. That one, she works for another organization. So you don't get a chance to dictate what they consider is a representation of their image. And I think that she missed that part of, and I think a lot of people miss that part because we got the tendency to say my job, but they let you know that it's not yours when they let you go.
That's right.
So the first thing is, I think sometimes, a lot of us like to say my job. I work for, a company, but I never use my job. I just say the job.
Right.
Because I know it's not mine.
Right.
So I think that's just something fundamentally I think we got to get away from. But also I think regardless of even if she did violate HIPAA or didn't violate HIPAA, we have to know that for everything that we do, there's a consequence, good, bad, or indifferent. So you got to pick a side on if you do something, you have to already have some type of understanding that if you do something that's going to cause conflict, or if you say something that may rub people the wrong way, there can be some level of consequence that you may not be able to control. So I think that's one of the things that, when we get into social media, sometimes just us as a people, we get away from. And for me, what's even the bigger issue is it's just another person that looked like me that just has a bad representation from a media standpoint. And we supposed to be a professional, but then we say things like, just talking about going into feminism, women say things like, the feminist movement say things like, a pay wage gap. But then we get in professional positions, and then we don't know how to represent ourselves and how to represent the image of the company. Make it make sense. So for me, I think I get it. I understand, because it's just another perpetuation of the men and women thing. But I think it just should be a call for both men and women to really pay attention to what we're doing and how we represent ourselves on social media, among other peers, among each other, because this is just another thing to cause us to continue to bump our heads amongst each other instead of kind of working together. And just like the individual that put the chat up from Facebook, they asked, is it okay for men to dox a woman's job? But it's not okay for nobody to dox anybody's job. Man, woman, child, dog, cat, don't matter at the end of the day, because it's somebody's livelihood. But we still got to know that if you do something wrong, somebody needs to call you out on your mess. That's it.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of all I wanted to add, but I think it's a fantastic conversation. When I saw it, I couldn't believe I thought it was fake, me personally, but because there's just the interaction, her not having no bra on and just smacking her butt, and then talking about she was a therapist, and I'm just like, I would love to have been the fly on the wall when you was in a session. Just to see how you're interacting. If you interact in your sessions or use some of the same language in your sessions as you did on social media. So, and I get it. Some people wear two faces, had two hats and all that stuff, but it just was interesting. So.
I think I'm gonna just call you Millionaire.
You call me Tim for short.
Okay, Tim. I just feel like, I've always come and had this conversation about a double standard, right? And we see how the one lady came in here and was like, is it okay for, a man to get a black man to get a black woman fired? It's not okay, but you know what? I need that same energy when it comes to black men, though. They want to sit up here and talk about, make an uproar about, her being fired and black men doing it. But who sits up and talks about, what happens to black men at the hands of black women? There's black men locked up right now at the hands of a black woman. Are they advocating for that? No, they're not advocating for that because they hate black men. You see what I'm saying? They sat up here and they celebrated Kevin Samuels dying. You see what I'm saying? And was not apologetic about it.
And it's this, why they celebrated the death of Kevin Samuels is because, see, when Kevin was here, he was applying pressure that they never felt before, right? He was applying the pressure that they never felt. So when he got up out of here, when he left, they felt a relief. They are relieved from the things that he was saying and the bar that they would have to go to and reach in order for them to get a quality black man or man in period. They have a relief. That was a relief.
It was, I understand what you're saying. I understand that. I still feel like it was wrong, and the energy is never the same.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it was wrong.
It's never, the energy's never the same, and that was kind of the conversation on my TikTok. And I'm asking women, they like, oh my God, I can't believe a black man, did this and did that. And y'all act like y'all happy she got fired. And y'all act like y'all was happy that Kevin Samuels died. And y'all be acting like y'all happy that bad things happen to black men. So why wouldn't the tables turn? Y'all have this energy that nobody never seen before because y'all all hate black men. That's your only connection. Because we gonna be real. Black women is sitting up here. I'm telling y'all, they waking up. They waking up, y'all. They done going to these women's empowerment because these women are toxic. Oh, they talking about it now. I think this is the season for it. This is the year for it. Oh, they talking about how these women is fake and they toxic. You know what I'm saying? And they snakes and they ain't going. Yeah, because that's what really be happening. Black men don't know what really happened at these events. It don't be nothing but a whole bunch of gossip, a whole bunch of bashing. The light skin is prettier than the dark skin. She's fat. All type of stuff. And that's why I always come to the table and say, us black women, we have our own issues inside of the black community with each other. We hate each other.
That's right. I said that today on the live. We got to learn how to get along.
Yeah, before we try to sell tell black men anything. We don't even get along.
Like, he looking at us. Y'all don't even get along with each other. So I really don't trust it like that for real, for real. Because you can't even get it. Because when men see women not getting along and women being envious of one another, that's also something a man would stand back and say, you know what, I don't even like that.
Right. Right.
You know?
Well,
Right.
see, I'm gonna say this, and I don't think it's my mic because I had my mic on mute. I still was hearing. Charlotte Kimmy, you said something, and I'm going to tell you why that situation. You got to remember, this is 30 years in the making, 30 plus years in the making. The pushback is just only 2 to 3 years old. And if you really want to go there, you might as well say within the last 3 years. So you still got time before this thing can even basically turn around. I am always asking, if a woman comes to my platform and wants to learn how to be a woman, where is the woman's platform to teach you how to be a wife?
My platform, Women Virtue.
Make sure you give the information, because that's been me and the biggest argument. Where do the
they don't want to learn. They don't want to learn. They don't want to learn. They got too many examples. They don't want to learn. They want to keep being toxic.
Yeah, because I got to get my generation to stop still teaching the old ways. So
true. It's city girl culture over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that your generation is. I can kind of tell, maybe somewhere around mine. I know I look young, but I ain't no spring chicken or nothing. But there was a young live today where she heard us talking about some things about women and taking accountability and how to carry yourself and stuff like that. And she got in the box and she was like, you know what, I need help because I want to know if I'm carrying myself the right way. They are out there. I've had women break down on my lives and just say, you know what, Kanai, you're speaking the truth. I do talk to my husband this way. I do poke at him. I'm just trying to figure out, why is he still here? 20 years and she's just poking at her husband, using her mouth against him, and she broke down in tears. So there's some out here that are admitting and taking accountability one by one. It's not a lot of them at one time, but they coming in one by one, slowly but surely, and they are there. So that's what my platform is. It's actually Women of Virtue. And I do that on TikTok to offer to women a better way to carry themselves. You can't be on TikTok with your clothes off of all these social media sites and still expect for men to still treat you like a woman and like a lady. Betty Wright had a song about that. You can't do what men and do all this wild stuff and still be expected to be treated like a lady. And now this therapist, right, she has opened up herself to a whole plethora of men who's now going to be like, you know what? I'm a man. I don't disrespect women, but you can't get no protection. Do not protect her. Do not protect her.
I say this: how can you protect something you can't control?
True.
And how can you protect something that isn't mine? See, I think for me, I think there's a misnomer where a woman thinks that a black man is just gonna run out and take a bullet or any of these other weapons for a random woman. I'm not doing that for a random woman. You don't belong to me. I don't know what you may have started. I'm not gonna sit there and jump into your domestic violence situation. That I'm not going to do.
I don't agree with that at all. I'm just meaning, what I'm saying is, here on these TikTok streets and YouTube, I don't. We also had that conversation before. But what I'm saying is respect. Even if a stand in front of a bullet, but you out here running your mouth the way you did, and you against the men are gonna be like, well, hey, you brought it on yourself. Ain't nothing I can do. Ain't nothing I can say. It's a certain kind of respect level. Like, I see women on these TikTok streets and YouTube, and they say certain things, and they're looking for a man in the group or in the live to say something. It's like, well, they're not going to say anything because this is the way you presented yourself. You're expecting a man to say something on your behalf, but they won't, because this is what you've been saying, and this is how you've been presenting yourself. Acting sexual or wearing something sexual. I mean, the men can't even get the platforms to look at women now because they got everything hanging out.
Right.
Yeah,
You won't get respect.
I
A
totally
woman
agree.
virtue gets respect wherever she goes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just say when it comes to just the whole black man trying to tell a black woman something, it's a matter of this independence. Nobody can tell me anything, and I think they misinterpret when a man the word control. And control doesn't mean that a man want to tell you what to do, how to dress, how to do certain things.
Right.
What women tend to forget is when a man is level-headed, that means he's pretty fair. He understands his purpose, his role. He also thinking about things that could go wrong in certain situations.
Yeah.
So he's pre-thinking about, for example, if he know you going out with your girls and you may say a restaurant or a bar, let's just say, and he know that there's a lot of riffraff go on there, he may say, hey, you may not necessarily want to wear that because I've been to that spot and it's not the best spot for a woman like yourself going, because now you're gonna get hit on, gawked on, whatever, and then I got to come out now. I got to get into it, and it could just turn messy. So, do you want me here tomorrow or you don't?
There you go.
Right.
But then, as
That's
soon as you say that, now he controlling, he insecure,
But
and
when
little weak energy.
you have
We
a
have
good woman by your side when she's thinking 3 steps ahead, and she's already thinking, I value my partner, so I'm not going to wear this because I know that if something happened, he's going to have to get involved and I want him here. You're already thinking, I know I'm going out with my friends tonight and I'm going to this shady area of town, so I'm going to have hubby get gas for me early so I don't have to stop late at night where there are going to be men congregating at the gas stations, because I'm not at risk of having something happen and having my husband have to risk his life. We, like women, that is our way of protecting our husbands. Men are supposed to be our protection, but our way of protecting them is thinking multiple steps ahead in an effort to preserve ourselves so that you don't have to put yourself in harm's way.
absolutely.
That's right.
Well, I can tell just by what you just said, C. Rose, is you grew up in that culture. You was cultured to understand the role of a man. A lot of women today are not cultured to understand the role of a man.
Right.
And unfortunately, this is where I will bring in my generation of Generation X, which is too many women in my generation is still proliferating the fact that you don't need a man. You don't have to have a man. You can do it all by yourself. So now when you're being cultured to believe that a man has no value, that a man has no purpose, that a man is just nothing, they don't even understand what you're even saying. What you mean you ask your husband this, or you act, now they get into that mommy daddy, oh, he treating you like a child and not understanding. No, my man is trying to protect me. So this is what I gotta do. I may put on something, you as a woman may put on something and you thinking, hey, I just look pretty. He gonna see it from a whole different perspective. He's not gonna let you go out here delusional like many of them and say, well, I should be able to wear whatever I want to wear. And if anything, and if he feels a certain kind of way, then that's on him, not on me. No, I live in reality. I know how men think. And if you go out there, you can't put on a police uniform, but you're supposed to be a fireman. It don't work that way.
Right.
I
agree with that.
So we gotta change the culture. And until you change the culture, this is what you got.
Did
So
did y'all notice in the one clip that I played at the beginning, well, a last clip, that how she was saying like she had issues in her relationship at the time of this going on, she was going through her own thing. The therapist was saying this, right? Now, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, right? But I can kind of see why she doesn't have a man, and I can see why she had problems. Because first of all, no man is dealing with that nasty attitude. No man, no real man wants a woman that's sitting up there twerking on social media. I don't know no real man that's putting up with that kind of behavior. That's not how I just feel like that's not how a real woman presents herself though. And
No,
that's just me.
that's absolutely right. One thing my father always taught me coming up was this: you have a reputation. You have to respect yourself. You have to go out there and act like somebody raised you. All right. You have
Hmm.
a kept young woman. My aunties used to tell me the same thing. She used to say, all you got is your word and your reputation. Don't be out here flaunting yourself in front of these boys in their spaces and in their faces, smiling in their faces and doing all that stuff. Give them their space. See, that's how I came up. I came up in a generation where, hey, the women was with the women and the men was with the men. We wasn't in no men's face. My mom and them went in the men's faces. They was in the kitchen cooking while the men was out there playing the
Better
dominoes.
say it again.
That's where I come from. My father, taught me, and that's why I love masculinity, because it protected me. It kept me from the 304 mindset, from the prostitute mindset. It saved me from that. Okay. I grew up
Hmm.
where the strawberries was on the corner. I grew up where the PIP was. I was all around that. But my father was adamant about protecting his girls, protecting his wife, protecting his daughters. Whatever goes on out there will not be in here. And this is how I'm raising you. Care about what's going on out there. This is what we doing here. So when we came outside, we were still looking like little girls, not like grown women. Our
Hmm.
hair was still braided in pigtails or whatever, not this long flowy hair. Because then back in the day, they used to try to put the little weave tree braids and all that. My daddy wouldn't allow none of that stuff. He made sure that we were girls as long as possible until we got to the age where we can be women. But even then, my father said, leave something to the imagination. And my father taught me what a man was. He taught me how to treat a man, and he taught me what a man expects from a woman.
Hmm.
Now, thank God for my father. I am who I am because of him.
And you know what that is? I think I spoke about this before, how, men are structure. You see what I'm saying? Us as women, we raise kids emotionally. Men don't raise kids just emotionally. They bring structure to the house.
Girl, come on.
It is the family unit. I don't think people realize that's why we messed up. They sitting out here. I done seen, moms sit out here and tell dads, you can't hit them. You
Mm,
can't beat my child. And then telling the kid, I wish he would hit you. You better tell me. What?
not,
Something ain't right.
not in my house. Daddy did not. That's why I love you. I don't have any. I all I have around me in my life and in my personal life are masculine men. Masculinity is so attractive. It's so comforting. You can be at peace. You can operate in your femininity. It's nothing to serve a man a plate. It's nothing to be with your man and serve him and make love to him and do these things as a woman, appreciate him. You know what I'm saying? And praise him and make sure that you're respecting him. Like I tell
Yeah.
women all the time, I tell women, I've been saying this for years. To love a man and respect him and give him honor.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's true.
That's
Let
what
me
my father
let
taught
me let me introduce Slugger. Slugger, I had to mute you. Do you have are you playing the live somewhere else? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Slugger, can you hear me? You
Yeah, I
gotta
can hear
turn
you.
me, you gotta turn us
I
down.
hear the lady talking, so I didn't want to say anything. Okay, let me do that. You can mute me.
Yeah, turn it down so we can it's echoing.
Oh, okay.
Do you turn it down?
Long instead of the last.
I couldn't hear you. I gotta take because I can't it's echoing. But what I was gonna ask Tim. Oh, Tim. I wanted to ask you like would this therapist be somebody, I don't know if you're in a relationship or not, and I'm not trying to disrespect your relationship, but would this be the kind of woman you would be interested in?
No.
Why?
Everything is wrong. Just the way her presentation is off.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is her getting on social media without no bra on. That's a no-go off the bat. Then it was just too much stuff going on in the background. To me, she was almost looked like a college student. I mean, she's a grown woman, but the background and setting looks like a college student. I'm a grown man, I'm 43, so I mean, what can I do with that? So with those things alone, it's a no-go.
Uncle Stu, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you describe your wife to us?
My wife,
Mm-hmm.
my wife has a master's degree, and she's one of the top trainers for a major city that's over here.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is 50 years old, but don't look it. Extremely submissive, well educated. Inside joke, she's me and Tim's boss. You know, that's the inside joke we got. But what else? Awesome mother, awesome wife, awesome sister, awesome daughter. Got a huge family, come from a mother and a father. You know, mother passed away about a year ago, but you know, father's still very active. So, you know, there's so many characteristics. He'll take the rest of this street for me to say it. But no, she's an awesome woman.
And there was a point in me asking Tim, would he date that therapist? It was a point in me asking Uncle Stu, can you describe your wife? Like the way that I'm just giving y'all a platform of real men, just examples. If y'all just listen to how Uncle Stu described his wife,
Yep.
like what black woman wouldn't want to be described that way from their man? I'm just being real. Who wouldn't want to? All I heard was a black man that was proud to have a beautiful, strong black woman. That's all I heard. All I heard was amazing things. That was all I heard. And with Tim, you know, some women be like, oh, you know, black men this and black men that. Tim just told us like, nah, I wouldn't date her. It was a lot going on, and she ain't had no bra on, and those are real men though. Those are real men, not men that's just looking to hit something and quit. No.
I'm gonna tell you that's a dangerous woman to hit. So some men wouldn't even hit it. That's not even worth somebody that you want to smack. I'm quite sure that she don't act like that unless you would have saw her TikTok page.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure she's a whole different character in person versus what you saw displayed on that TikTok.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And another thing too is when you start to, you know, move up in life and you start to get older, your patience for a lot of BS, it gets very thin.
Yeah.
And you're better off saying the key words, no, I'll pass, because I'd rather stay at my peace versus to get into something messy. Because you know that time now is more critical and time is more important. So you're looking for something that you can marry up with that's going to give you the best use of your time, but also have fun doing it. And I think a lot of people get away from that because they looking more of I could just do whatever, be whatever, say whatever, and there's no repercussions. And I think for both man and woman, when they come together, that's what I think both is looking for. Somebody to be at peace, enjoy their company, have fun while you're doing it, because as time's going by, it's going very quick. And before you know it, another 10 years go by. Then you got to look back and say, what did we gain, or what did we do, or did we hit some goals together, and did we have enjoyment doing it?
Tim said something that was very critical. The older you get and the more you really know yourself as a man, no becomes a whole lot easier. It's just not.
It shows
Some women, it ain't worth it. You're not worth even 30 minutes of you're not worth it, because you got to remember, if looking at what she's doing, she remind me of the woman that if you did hit it, you're gonna have some emotional trouble after it.
It's consequences for hitting it.
Right. That's gonna be consequences.
It's the consequences.
She gonna flash your name. She gonna be the first one to dox you on social media.
Or show up at your house.
You need therapy.
Right.
That's right. Because I think what it is, like Ken was saying too, he made a reference before about men they are visual, right? And they do like women. But like he said even that, is becoming something that they not looking. He's like, we cooperation over the beauty now. It's like, I want to be with a woman that's agreeable and a cooperative. And that's not to say that this woman doesn't have a mind of her own, that she cannot speak, that she can, be who she is. But what it is they're looking for somebody who they can have the meeting of the minds. That's what, how can two walk together? Unless they agree, that's what that really means. What that really means in the Hebrew is that two people come together and meet each other where they are. Like-mindedness, one accord. We can meet each other where we are and we can walk together. We can be in agreement together. So when you have somebody like that, it's easier for a man. A man has a whole lot to deal with. I don't think women even understand the kind of weight, the kind of responsibility that lays on the shoulders of a man. But the Most High is gracious because he gave a man that wherewithal and that built to be able to handle that, right? And when he can't handle that, that's when we come in. When we need to help, that's when we make the house peaceful. That's why when he come home, he don't want to hear all of that stuff, because he has to come out from the day, right, that he's been out all day and come into a house. He should be, how when you used to play the game and you be in the daylight, right? You be driving and the driving games be in the daylight, and all of a sudden it switch and now you in the dark. Well, it should be a difference when the man come from outside, from the outside the day. When you come in here, it should be night. It should be peaceful. It should be quiet, food ready. Kids is, hey dad, what you doing? My dad put us in the bed. Like, order is of the day, and we need the male presence in the household and the leadership from the men, because that's what brings the order and the structure, right? The discipline and the stability. Men stabilize. That's why when daddy walks, everybody get quiet. Dog get quiet. Roaches and rats and everything else and everything around is like, the man is here. You be thinking you did something wrong and you even didn't do nothing. But it was the power. It was the power of the masculinity that walked through that door that shut down anything was out of order.
And that's what they're afraid of. That's what they're afraid of. That's what they're afraid of.
I love it.
The power. That's what it's always been. The power that the black man has, because why try to turn black women against them? You see what I'm saying? Why try to turn their kids against them? Why let the odds be against them? Because they're the most powerful thing. They're going to continue to try to tear them down with whatever they have available. Whatever they have available. My thing is, like, I want to know, what can we do different to be able to protect each other better? What you think, Tim?
I think the first thing is we got to understand what our roles is and what our strengths is for our individual relationships. So for me, I don't think it's necessarily man or woman, the woman cook, the man clean. I don't necessarily agree with that personally, because I think because times have changed so much, I just think you got to utilize your strengths for the relationship.
Okay.
So if let's just say, so for example, if he makes great money, but she's good at handling and managing the money, then she should take up that effort.
Mm-hmm.
long as he's making the money. So he's still the stronghold, but she's in charge of where all the resources go and things like that, because she's good at numbers, she's good at all the financial stuff. Then I think that's okay.
Right.
But then in the same token, let's just say if she might enjoy cutting grass, then let her do that. If she enjoyed it, she might have a green thumb. She enjoyed it outside. So I think what we got to do is first identify where we strong at, where we weak
Mm-hmm.
at, and then do it for both. And then let's meet it together and see how can we build upon this. But then I also think, though, if a child is involved, they're looking to have kids, she should now have an onus to want to teach her child, because it's too much information, too much delusion in the world today, that I think parents have to take an active role in raising their child and control the information that goes in, because that's going to be a direct result of what comes out. So I think both the husband and wife need to talk about that and have a conversation about it, and then have a plan for making that happen. Not saying it's going to be perfect, not saying you'll always be able to plan, but I think that that's something we need to strive for.
Absolutely.
Because I think, for me personally, I think the school system is a bunch of crap, me personally, because I think it teach too much about every other culture, but really about our own culture. We need to really know our historical background, so then we can make sure we leverage what we need to leverage for us. Because I tell Uncle Stu, hear me say this all the time. We talk about this racism, this and that, but my question is, as an individual, if you go 3 generations back and dig up your ancestors and have a conversation with them, would they be happy with where you at right now today?
No.
And if not, then they would be upset that they put forth the effort, they went through a lot of crap, a lot of stuff, and you didn't take advantage and leverage the opportunity you have right now in front of you. So
Right.
that's the first thing. Then after that, I think the next thing is we both husband and wife should go to some level of counseling, individually, together, family, whatever that may be. I think they need to do that. But then I think they need to have a conversation about getting rid of friends and family members that's not conducive to the overall makeup of a strong family. I don't care if it's blood. I don't care if it's friends, because they'll be the main ones. The closest ones are the ones that can tear your relationship down the fastest. So I think that's the next thing. And I think both parties has to be willing to cut ties that doesn't relate or emphasize the makeup and the design they want for their family. And then after that, I think they need to both take an effort in having the tough conversations about finances, about health, about spirituality, and about mental health. I think those 4 pillars need to be talked about. I don't think one is more important than the other. I think they're all equally important.
Right.
That's what I think we need to do. So
I asked him that question because one thing that stuck out to me, I don't know if it stuck out to y'all, about this woman that black therapist, is number one, this is why men don't trust. This is an example of why they don't trust. This is an example of why they don't open up. So it wasn't just, displaying that they can't trust, some black women, they can't even trust a professional. That's one thing that stuck out to me.
Yep.
Another thing is, I feel like what she said came from her failed relationships. That relationships she probably never took accountability in. And nobody, and this is why I don't hang around like a lot of black women, because I need black women that are going to hold me accountable, and I hold them accountable. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Nobody is holding her accountable. Now y'all
Yep.
see how all these black women came to her rescue. Cash App, she's on here. You call men dusty, but then you got on here and begged for help. You put your Cash App up there. Like, it doesn't make sense. And you're never going to get the healing that you need if you have people around you and you're not going to grow. If you don't take accountability, you're not going to grow. This situation, it was nothing but an example of so many things that are wrong in our community with us. That's all it displayed. We have a woman that's hurt, from a relationship, and so she then poured it into her work. You can't effectively counsel Black men if you are angry at one.
Come on.
You can't do that. So it's like that's why we have to have the conversation now of, well, how do we do better? Moving forward. It's like we're knocked back 5 times because now men are looking at this like, oh yeah, I really ain't talking now. I really ain't going to counseling now. It's like, Uncle Stu, like, what can you say to, you know, kind of double back on, men reaching out for help after, they've experienced this? Is there anything, that we can say that can encourage them after this?
Well, my encouragement is, first of all, I am somebody that has sought mental health. I am somebody that is from the military, and so I did have my fair share of mental health issues. So I'm always going to be an advocate of mental health, regardless of what you see. There are bad apples in every single profession that you can imagine. Shout out to Eugene Steele. There are bad apples in every profession. So, we got to first just deal with that oxygen. Second, I always say that men and women cannot emulate what they've never seen. So if they have never seen a man who is, productive, successful, running a home, they've never seen it. That's one. Second, I totally agree. I'm a grandfather now. I refuse for them to go into this public school system. I refuse, because not only do I say they're not going to teach our culture, they've already tried to do this non-binary stuff. So we're not even going down that direction. The other thing is we got to start recognizing where we are and really connect with those that are quote like-minded, and then show the success. You see, I'm always saying you are not going to rise no higher economically, socially, or spiritually than your 5 closest friends. So if you sitting around here as a woman, and you around 5 people, and let's just say 4 of them are not married, guess what? You might as well forget it. You're probably not going to be married either. If you're around females that always hate men, you're going to eventually hate men. That goes for the men too. If I want to stay married, I can't hang around 5 single men. They have 2 totally different lifestyles.
Yeah.
I have 5 best friends and only one is single.
Yep.
He open up his mouth and talk, you'll think he married, because he has a married mindset.
Yep.
And because he has a married mindset, there's no doubt in my mind that when the right woman show up, she's gonna be good. She's gonna be good financially, she's gonna be good spiritually, she's gonna be good. But and so that's how I look at it. Again, I think yes, you have these conversations. There are certain facts that we just gotta bring into the fold, and we just gotta set the example. We just gotta set the example. That's why I love Z Rules and Sister George, because they get up there, they don't hold no bar. They gonna say what's going on, what's going on, and then look, we coming off the string, 'cause we got our husbands to take care of. They'll shut it down quick. But that's setting an example. They're leaders as women, but they have their wives, their mothers.
Yeah.
They're setting the example, and there's not enough of that on YouTube.
Absolutely. See, Rose, go ahead.
Do you mind on to the, if I can answer at some point the
Go
question?
ahead. Go ahead.
The question that you asked him, I think you remember what I think we need for us to be able to protect one another. This is why Christ, the reason why he said, love your neighbor, love you as I love, and love above all things, because see what he said is, if you're able to love someone, then you will not hurt them in these ways, be envious of them, steal from them. That's why love is the ultimate, because the
Okay.
fact that you're able to love somebody will keep you from doing those types of things. And unfortunately, Shalakimia, we have been in broken households. We've been in dysfunctional household, toxic households and environments, right? Where we might not have a proper way of understanding what love is and how it works. But I believe that if a person knows the power of protecting themselves, then they will also understand why it's also important to protect somebody else. It's just like Sister C had said, and I love it because I say it all the time as well. You need to be thinking about, as a woman, yeah, men protect us too, but there's also a way that we protect our men. We protect our
Yeah.
men from a strange woman. We protect our men from 304. That's why we need to be, we in competition, whether you want to know it or believe it or not. This is what we protect against on the outside that's trying to come inside. When we out here dressed up in different places and stuff, and the man call you on the phone and he want to make sure that you make it over there, you made it over here. It's not him being controlling, it's him being protecting. And by me picking up the phone and answering it when I'm supposed to, that leaves him not having to worry about it. That leaves him
Right.
saying, that makes you okay, we on the same. Every time my best friend and I, we together, husband call, hey, you good? Yeah, y'all, you over here? It was a shooting on the freeway. Where y'all at? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they checking for you. And if you never seen Nobody, I encourage everyone to go watch that movie Nobody, because it will show you the extent and the length that a man will go to protect something he loves and that he values. Watch that movie, Shalakimia. If you've never seen it, please watch it.
What is it on? What platform is it on?
No, it's on HBO or Netflix.
Mhm.
I think it's on. I want to say if it's
Okay.
not HBO, check Netflix. But Nobody is a prime example of men, how men are protective in the measure they will go to. And that woman looked that man in the eye. She said, "When you get done with all of this, come back to me." This is how we encourage our men. Let them know we need you. We
Yeah.
do need him. We do need the stool. We need our men. We
Yes, we
needed
do.
that Samuels. We needed that man. We needed these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not stop. I have a 16-year-old, and there is no way that I will spew out the poison on any man as long as I live, because I have a 16-year-old black son. And like I said, masculinity saved my life. I will fight to the death. I'm 300 up here. I'm gonna look at my say, baby, go ahead and down that hole. This is Sparta. That's right. Because at some point, women, we got to realize that we are warriors as well. We are intercessors, right?
Yes,
We
we
make
are.
sure that we cover them in the spirit, not just cover them with your body. We don't just cover them with our bodies. We cover
Mm-hmm.
them in the spirit now. Get on our knees. We pray and we intercede for them. We put oil on them and make sure we anoint him to make sure that the next day that he walks out of this house, no demonic power is able to overtake him and take his life from you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
God willing.
That's I don't see Rosewood. I'm gonna come to you. I just want to know your take on, is there anything encouraging or inspiring or motivating that, you can say, that may encourage, our black men, that have mental health problems, or are closed down and don't really want to open up because of situations like this.
So, sorry, I wanted to answer the question as well. I think that we can start by start the process with stopping minimizing each other's roles. I notice that we oftentimes minimize the role that black men play. We like to say that, black men don't build anything. Black men just want to go 50-50. And the sister highlighted earlier about the strife that black men deal with when they go out in the world and how we need to be their peace when they come in. I would not want to deal with what Black men deal with for anything in the world, but I would, and I do, make it my business to be a place of peace for my husband. I would. We could not imagine the struggle that Black men have to go through when they go out those doors. Literally, aside from the struggle that they deal with and dealing with white supremacy, being marketed as thugs, being people, shuddering when they walk past, and having to deal with police brutality, and having to deal with, being the police being called on them, or people thinking that they are going to do harm to them when they're coming by, and, racism and all the other things that they're dealing with in their places of employment. And, just making it home safe is a feat for Black men each and every day. And we don't acknowledge that. Aside from that, they have the toughest job on the planet. They literally have to put their lives on the line to protect the entire family. There is no greater task than that. They are expected to lay their lives down should someone try to come in that house. And we literally will say, we'll minimize what they do. And we'll say, we have to do everything in the home. But you're not expected to lay your life down. If there's a fire, if there's a robber, if we hear glass breaking, they're expected to go investigate, and they're expected to get everybody out of their house. Their life is last, literally. So I think that minimizing their role and downplaying what the Black man has to deal with, and downplaying all that, all the stressors that they deal with in the world, is the very first step that we could take. Literally, Black men have the highest rate of suicide, and that's not by coincidence. It's because of the stressors that they have to deal with.
Can you do me a favor? Can you put up you put up somebody's comment about love hurt me? I think that was at 8:50.
I put it up there.
You put it up once, then you put up
hold on,
Barry Norris.
That one?
Yes.
Okay.
Love hurt me the most. I understand the exact writing of that. I used to say love hurt me the most. But the reality was, when I did a self-awareness and self-examination, it wasn't love that hurt me. It was letting go that hurt.
That's right.
Okay.
Love is something that's given away without the expectation of receiving anything.
Right.
Lust always looking for an expectation. What I was giving in love, what hurt was that the purity of my love, I should have let things go. I didn't let those things go. And because I didn't let those things go, I started trying to receive lust over love.
Yeah.
I had to learn that when I give love, I cannot be looking for it. At the same time, I want you to understand, I got it. You say love hurts me the most. Love yourself. Love what you love. Learn how to love you to that point where, regardless of who's in your life, you love you. And when you learn to love yourself, then you're teaching someone how to love you. Right. Because what I love, say Tim may not love as a man, men to men. There's things he loves, and that gives him the love within himself. There are things I love that gives me the love within myself. So when I meet that woman, I'm speaking almost in a single man category. When I meet that woman, I'm going to teach her how to love me.
Right.
So for you, I would say I understand the words, I get the words, but if you look deep inside, sometimes our anger is, I should have let this go a long time ago. I seen certain things and I knew I couldn't change those things. I should have let it go. And that's where it hurts. I should have let that one go 5 years ago, but I tried to hold on. I should have let that thing go, but I tried to hold on. A lot of times it's the holding on that hurts, not the love itself. Sometimes letting go shows more love than you ever could really realize.
Uncle Stu, thank you for that. I want to thank you for that because I didn't know what that meant, but that you caught that, and he said, "Thank you, bro. I understand that. That was a teaching moment, and that's what we have to do that for each other. I thank you for doing that."
Oh, you welcome.
And that's deep. That's a deep statement because I knew when I started talking about the love and how we love somebody, and like,
Mhm.
love doesn't hurt. That's a lie from the pit. But I knew that a comment like that was gonna come because I know that people believe that love hurts, right? They believe that. But
Mhm.
like I said, it's the thing that I'm holding on to, the thing that the Most High say. I said, leave that alone. I said, put that down. And you keep picking it up. And then eventually, he's going to allow that thing that you won't put down to hurt you. It's a pop on the wrist. Most High chastens who he loves. So you have to be able to, we have to learn how to, that's the accountability that I be talking about. We have to understand that when we see somebody doing something that we invited them in our lives and they're doing certain things, and you know you want to be with this person or go here with this person, do whatever, make a business. So you knew something, they showed you who they were, but we be hoping and praying that it won't turn out the way that it won't turn out the way we wanted to turn out the way we wanted to. And when it doesn't, we blame the other person. We attempt to deflect, right? We deflect and don't take responsibility and account. But really, we did that. Take accountability. That way, when you take accountability, you on your way to getting better and not bitter.
Absolutely, I
Can
believe
you put up
that.
Sharon Payton's comments also?
I think um I think what kind of rubbed me the wrong way was how you know how Kevin Samuels content, you know, what he was trying to do as well in our community. And because his delivery was the way it was, a lot of people didn't receive it, right? But are we paying attention to this black therapist? Are we paying attention to her delivery and how black women don't have a problem with it?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's what stuck out to me. They didn't have a problem with it. They didn't have a problem with her calling men dusty. They didn't have a problem with her when they're calling women hoes. They didn't have a problem with that. Why did y'all have a problem with this man so bad?
Yep.
I
That
agree
that
with that.
that didn't sit right with me. I'm like, well, hold up, y'all just did everything, drag this man's name through the dirt because of his delivery. Y'all never once pointed out this woman's delivery. They jumped on the bandwagon, supported her, made her think what she did was okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's what they're doing right now. And we can't support that because it's wrong.
I
You are good, Shalakia, at double standards. When you do this, I watch you, and you are so good at making us the other side of the coin. You over here talking about this man and his delivery, but yet you over here approving this girl's delivery. The
Mm-hmm.
things that she said out of her mouth as a professional black woman. Y'all didn't say nothing when the congresswoman was twerking. You didn't say nothing, all these things. You are so good at every time I hear you, I'll be like, there she goes. She on the flip side of the coin, making people see, you know what, what do we do about this? Why we ain't silence about this? You do that very well. I commend you on that. You do that
I
very well.
just my thing is like right is right and wrong is
Wrong
wrong.
is wrong. Yep.
You see what I'm saying? I don't first of all, when she blamed black men, my heart was hurting. Because you just threw something out there. You just lied on black men. You wasn't sure.
And no one questioned it because it's easy to accept that. But I
Yeah.
was going to ask, what would have happened if she was a white woman? If that were a white woman, that had said that, like, that was, you know, stereotyping, that said, oh, Black men have low emotional intelligence, and Black men, it would have been racism this and racism that, and no one, you know, Black women would have even jumped on the bandwagon saying, oh, she's racist and yada, yada, yada. But because it's a Black woman, we want to act like what she did was not stereotyping, was not generalizing, was not racism. I actually found where someone reposted a response from one of the board members, and this is allegedly from one of the board members, and they specified that they watched the video, and this is an investigation was done by their compliance officers.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that it says, in many cases, opinions expressed on personal social media are outside of our jurisdiction and are protected by the right to free speech. However, in listening to these videos, Miss, and they scratched her name out, does clearly identify herself as a therapist. And in the video, she does clearly identify herself as a therapist in the video, and that does become a boundary issue when a licensed professional uses their profession to espouse personal opinions, especially opinions which are discriminatory and or antagonistic. So that's what they're using as their standing behind why they found her social media videos to be problematic.
I was hoping somebody would. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this was on Crinkle Speaks page. She reposted it. So,
and I think, to be honest with you, I think that Black men have been blamed for enough, and that's my opinion. I think they've been blamed for enough, and it's like, it's bad enough that you sitting up here and you gaslighted. Then you try to come and say, oh, Black men got me fired. We don't even know if that's true. We don't even know you.
Right.
And that's what I be wanting to get to the bottom of. I'm just not believing something that somebody come in and tell me about somebody. But that's what I'm thinking. How do you know Black men called your job? Black men, to be honest with y'all, and I'm just being real, Black men don't even be moving like that. Black women move like that.
They really
Black men do not move like that. I'm just being real.
They barely want to take child support, let alone pick up the phone and do all that.
Yeah, who's doing all that? But regardless of who did it, nobody knows who. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I grew up the black sheep, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of things were blamed on me because it was easy to blame things on me.
Yeah.
So I can relate with Black men. It's like they feel like it's easy to blame it on Black men because everybody gonna jump on the bandwagon. Everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon and agree. Nobody's going to challenge what I'm saying because they hate Black men too. They dislike Black men too.
They don't typically move like that. Look at all the divestors. You got, you know, people, I won't name names, but people who make anti-Black men content all day long. And Black men aren't going flagging their pages or trying to, you know, go on campaigns to get their pages or content taken down. So that is true. Typically, Black men don't move like that.
No.
Nope.
They don't. Our men do like drama. Our men do like drama. They love peace, and that's what y'all see our men doing right now. They are headed for the hills. They want peace. They are protecting their peace. I see men happy. I see these men being in their homes with their little podcast going or whatever they doing. They got their little drink going, whatever they do, and they feeling good. They going to the gym. They taking care of themselves. They at the range. They like, forget that. You ain't coming here. They're protecting their peace and their mental peace. They're protecting that. And for us to come up there and say that Black men is this, Black men is that, the one number we need to stop saying is that Black men are not in the home taking care of their children. Black men have taken care of their children for the past few decades. If you read the CDC report about Black fathers are taking care of their children and are in the lives of their children more than any other ethnic group in America. The Black man is the father. This book right here that I got, this here book, this book, State of Emergency, this brother Jawanza Kunjufu talks about the Black fathers that are in the homes in silence, taking care of their children. And this book was written in 2006. And you telling me that the CDC report today of in March 2022 that the Black man is in their lives and their children the most? Y'all need to kill that. Y'all gotta kill that because it's not true. Never.
Right. Let me chime in. I know I've borrowed y'all for a long time. I'm definitely, I think that, this was definitely a great conversation. A lot of things that haven't been said were, brought to the table, a lot of empowering things and motivating things. And what I would like to do is maybe, have this panel again on, the next hot topic that we can be able to talk about and break it down. So I hope this isn't, your last time joining me, and we can come together again and discuss these kind of things and break them down, because I think every single one of us, brought some empowering things to the table, brought some things that people were able to learn, to the table. So, I'll reach out again, about topics like these so we can come on and, be able to discuss them, in this type of environment, if y'all open to that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I want to, thank everybody for, joining us tonight, and Uncle Stu and Sister CC Rose and Millionaire. I'm gonna just call him Millionaire because I'm not gonna, mess it up again. But I thank y'all for joining me and us just being able to have this realistic conversation in this space. Because these are the conversations that we need. I seen a woman in a comment, she apologized. She said, I apologize, to Black men if we didn't, take your mental health seriously. And that's amazing. That's your aunt?
That's the auntie, yeah.
Okay, that's auntie. Okay, so auntie said that, but I also want to apologize on, this topic, because nobody knows, what happened in that situation. I hate that Black men were just put in the mix, you know what I mean, and blamed because it's easy. I want us to just have the kind of mindset to stop just believing these things on social media, because you know what, as people, we wouldn't want people to believe things that aren't true about us. So stop believing stuff that it's like Black men are the easy target to blame something on. So that's why people are just automatically doing it. And it's not right. You know what I mean? I'm tired of Black men being blamed for stuff. I'm tired of the stereotypes that they're deadbeat dads and, they're no good men. I'm tired of those stereotypes. I really, really, really am. And I just want to apologize to any Black man that, was told that before, because that's not who you are. And that's not how, us, real women view you. There are real women out here that believe in y'all, and got your back, But I thank everybody for joining us tonight. I think, the panel, and until next time, everybody be amazing.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. It was definitely my pleasure. It was nice to meet everyone.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.